in the oldest public celebration of the end of slavery in the United States of America. And whereas it was first celebrated on Juneteenth, 1965, when Union soldiers announced the end of the Civil War more than 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas from the day forward, June 19th has been a day of celebration, prayer, and reflection focused on the history, hardship, and achievement of Black people throughout the United States of America. And whereas Juneteenth has been celebrated by the African American community for over 155 years. And whereas the city of Rohnert Park recognized that diversity is the strength and strive to be a safe, inclusive, and welcoming community for all. And whereas the city of Rohnert Park recognized that the real value of celebrating Juneteenth lies in the acknowledgement that there remains much work to be done in addressing equity, inclusion, equal right, and equal access to opportunity. Now there be it be proclaimed that I, Jackie Elwood, as mayor, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth Day in the city of Rohnert Park. I encourage all residents to join me in recognizing the historical significance of this celebration. Duly and regularly proclaim this 14th day of June. So on that, we have Mr. John Sturdivant with 100 men of Sonoma County that will be receiving this proclamation. I saw him somewhere.
Yeah, I just saw him. There he is.
Hi, welcome. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. Good evening. The mayor, city council, some of them I know I lived in Rohnert Park from 19 years ago. But we are happy to be awarded recognition. 100 Black men of Sonoma County incorporated about 30 years ago in this county. Our purpose is to mentor young people. We do mentoring, education, scholarships. And we started out of our men's. What we wanted to do 33 years ago was to help out just looking at young people, county, and seeing what we could do to make their lives, their future, somewhat better than it was at that time. So we have worked with all the schools within. We did a lot of work in Santa Rosa, from the park. So we are glad to be recognized for this, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to my colleague if anybody have anything to say.
Thank you. Jackie, you mentioned before reading the proclamation that this was an emotional proclamation for you because it was about your people. And I would just like to say your people are all of our people. And I'm happy to join you in recognizing Juneteenth in Rohnert Park.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for this proclamation. And I'll just start off by saying Black Lives Matters. It's just really as simple as that. When we all came on this council, when I came on this council a couple of years ago, one of the goals, personal goals that I had was to have a council that was welcoming and that was inclusive and that listened respectfully and where all voices were heard. Subsequent to that, the council took up the discussion of changing our flag ordinance, and we approved 3 flags, ceremonial flags that could be raised. And it'll be an honor to raise the Juneteenth flag with you on Thursday. And so to our BIPOC community, and in particular our African-American community, you are loved, you're a part of us, and we are all together. And I'm just thrilled. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm happy that we're doing this. I'm glad that you're here, John, and doing this for the 100 men in this community that you've probably worked with thousands of men, and what you've done for the youth of the community. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm honored to be a part of this, what seems to be a historic event for our city, that this proclamation is going through, and for our community to be recognized in more ways than one.
Thank you. And Joe, you know, the work that you guys have been doing over the years, it's not unseen. We see that. And I am glad that today the city of Rohnert Park can recognize that hard work. And thank you for continuing to giving the hope to our children and to really empower them every time that they feel down or lost. Thank you for keeping them on track and keeping that father figure to so many in this community. So thank you. And in that, I will ask my colleague to present this to you.
Yes, please.
You too.
For our second proclamation of the night, this is about Elder Abuse Awareness Day. A proclamation of the mayor of the city of Rohnert Park proclaiming June 15th, 2022 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Whereas the city of Rohnert Park joined other cities and states in recognizing June 15 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And whereas older adults deserve to be treated with respect and to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and vital members of our community. And whereas seniors are valued members of our community with a wealth of experience and wisdom, it is our responsibility to ensure their lives safely in a community that cares about them. And whereas it is up to all of us to prevent violence and abuse of older adults. And whereas preventing abuse of older adults through social support like senior centers, human services, and transportation will allow seniors' lives as independently as possible and contribute to our community. And whereas the City of Rohnert Park provides support, services, and education to seniors through the Rohnert Park Senior Center. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Jackie Elward, as mayor and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2022 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in the City of Rohnert Park. I encourage all residents to ensure we are taking the very best care of our residents and recognize and celebrate the ongoing accomplishment to the success of vitality of Rohnert Park. Duly and regularly proclaimed this 14th day of June 2022. Thank you. And we have our friend in the public, Donada Mikulik, and Carla Rodriguez, that will come and receive this proclamation, but I'm sure you guys have something to say.
Good evening, Mayor Elward and City Council members. Thank you for having us. My name is Carla Rodriguez, and I'm here with Donna Mikulik. I work at the District Attorney's Office, and Donata is our Elder Justice Coordinator for Sonoma County. As a prosecutor who has focused on elder abuse for many years, I'm here to tell you that elder abuse happens in Sonoma County. We see all forms of abuse, from sexual, physical, to financial abuse, and all iterations of the three. We would urge all the members of the council and all the citizens of Rohnert Park to really keep an eye out on your loved ones, your elderly neighbors, friends, and family. We've all been isolated during COVID, and elder abuse thrives in isolation. So if you have a neighbor that you haven't checked on in a while, I would suggest go check on your neighbor. See if he or she has gotten a phone call or someone visiting at the door that makes them concerned. Help them deliver their groceries. Check in on your elderly neighbors so that we can all work together to make sure that we're safe and to prevent elder abuse. There will be a presentation by us. I won't be there on Thursday, but Donata will be there regarding frauds and scams on Thursday, the 16th at the Senior Center. Donata and I keep tabs on all the frauds and scams that are happening in our county, and I assure you that there are a large amount of original and innovative frauds and scams that affect our elderly, either through telephone calls or emails or other means. So that would be an interesting presentation for you to see. And I thank you for your time, and I'll pass it over to Donata. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Elward and council members. And absolutely, the presentation Thursday is a helpful resource for all of our community members. We're also doing them in Santa Rosa, Sebastopol, other communities across Sonoma County. This year, there were 559 reports of elder abuse in 2021, and we're grateful for the support of Chief Matos over at Rohnert Park Public Safety. For the first time this year, we have our purple flag display out in front of the Public Safety Department with the purple flags in the lawn representing, actually it's not the lawn, it's more like bark, but representing each report of abuse in our community with the banners and the signs up too. And then tomorrow, the electronic billboard will also have this important awareness information as well. So some of the resources we brought tonight are our calendar of events that are happening across Sonoma County. The Elder Justice Initiative is a county-wide effort, working closely with our senior center partners and our police departments, of course, the DA's office and other senior service providers. And we did bring information and resources that may be of value to those of you who might be thinking about somebody who you're concerned about. You might not know where to send them. When we do the signs and the billboard, we point people towards the 565 info number at our adult and aging for the county, where someone can just call and talk to a social worker, find out what resources might be available to help them stay safe and happy in their homes. So we brought some of that information today. Tomorrow is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. You can wear your purple. We passed around some purple ribbons that you can wear. We're also acknowledging the whole month as Elder Independent Adult Abuse Awareness Month on the county and state level, and we very much appreciate the support of Rohnert Park in joining in these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn to my colleague.
Donata, thank you for coming, and I hope I don't jinx you when I say welcome to DA-elect Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I appreciate your coming tonight. My parents are 84 years old, and my mother was just by the house less than 2 weeks ago to show me this ad of something she wanted to buy, and I said, Mother, this is a scam. No, 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 this is real. This is real. And I had to go through and show her this is not real. I mean, and she's a clear thinking, level-headed, intelligent person, and that's the thing that's the most scary about this. So I was shocked to see in Amanda's newsletter that there were 559 crimes reported against elders. I'm sure there's more than that are not reported, but I appreciate your efforts on behalf of our seniors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. And just to note, that's just in Rohnert Park.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh, no, I
we
know.
know.
She was in her newsletter, and I thought I was
Yeah.
stunned,
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll also lend my congratulations to you, Ms. Rodriguez. We're looking forward to working with you as a new district attorney. And we know that you'll focus not only on elder abuse, but other topics that are sensitive here in Rohnert Park. Donata, thank you for your presentation. We appreciate you reaching out and working with the Senior Center. It is an incredible resource, and it touches a lot of seniors' lives. You know, I was struck with, for several years of my life, I was in a management capacity at Oakmont Golf Club. And the stories that I would hear from the members, so many different types of elder abuse, whether it was physical or emotional or solar scams or just whatever. It just is abhorrent to me to think that people would prey off of our seniors in their golden years. These folks are an amazing resource for information and culture, and so I'm very happy that we are. I'm thank you to the mayor, and I'm very happy that we are taking this topic on. Thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
So it's always nice to meet somebody you vote for that wins. And congratulations.
I would still have come if I had not won.
So congratulations. Thank you
Thank you.
very much for being here, for all you do, and Donata, you too. And for Amanda, what she does at the Senior Center,
Hear,
because
hear.
working all together, you guys just do an amazing job. And being there every day for the seniors and helping them every day is an incredible job, and it's so wonderful for them to get that help. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Sonoma County has an amazing team of people that work with our elder community. It's just astounding when I get to see them. So thank you for acknowledging that.
I share the same sentiments. I appreciate all the work that's being done and has been done in order to bring even more awareness to this. As we know, like you said, check on your neighbors. It's very easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, but it is a big part of our community, and what I like to see are our roots, right? We all know somebody, we all know an elder, and so I really appreciate all the work that's being done. Thank you, and congratulations.
And congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
So one thing that caught my eye, and I was really astonished to discover when I first came here in the U.S., was the way elders were treated. Back home, we don't have senior centers. You keep your elders with you, you take care of them. It was a little bit hard for me to understand the whole prospect of having senior centers and all of that, because to me is you keep them at home. They took care of you when you were young. It's only natural that you take care of them. And I have to really hats off to you for doing that, because they do deserve the respect and the attention. Because if we are where we are today, for the most part, is because they came before us and paved the way for us. And it is very important for us to really take care of them and cherish them until they are no longer with us. And I believe that the way they brought us here and cherish us is the way we should provide for them to leave this earth with dignity, respect, love, and family around. A lot of time, there's some of them that are alone, and it's really heartbreaking. So thank you so much for all the work that you do for them, um, and so they know that they are loved and cared for. And as everybody have said, congratulations, Madam DA.
Thank you, Mayor.
And we have a lot of work to do ahead of us, but in the meantime, thank you for being a part of the team that have been taking care of our elder.
Thank you. We have an amazing team.
Thank you. So we're gonna give you guys a proclamation.
I'm ready. Pronto.
All right. Then next, we're gonna move to our department head briefing.
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
All right. We're gonna move to our consent calendar. Oh, yeah, we forgot. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
We don't have any comments.
Thank you. So we're gonna move to our consent calendar.
I move that we accept the consent calendar.
Second?
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Dudicek,
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams,
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Mayor Elward.
Yes,
Motion to adopt the consent calendar passes by a 5-0 vote.
thank you. And now we move to our regular item, item 1A, 8A.
Yes, consideration of nomination and selection of mayor pro tempore, also known as vice mayor, and our city clerk Sylvia Cuevas Lopez is going to,
Lopez Cuevas.
I know, I'm just reading it off here. I was like, what? She's presenting this item and then the 3 subsequent items.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Oh, well, this item is pretty straightforward. So currently, we don't have a vice mayor because of the resignation of the former councilmember Linares. The city council protocols allow you to select a new vice mayor, make a nomination, and appoint vice mayor by the majority vote of the council. So whoever is elected today by the council to serve as the vice mayor will commence the term tonight and will continue to be the vice mayor until the meeting after the election results are certified by the council. Typically, this is something that you do at the same time. You certify the results of the election and then make the nomination for the mayor for the following year. So it's pretty short staff report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment for this item?
I don't have any comments for this item.
All right. So I'm going to turn to my colleague, and to see if there is any motion on nominating a vice mayor.
I'm happy to make a motion to nominate Samantha Rodriguez to take Willie's place in the first district.
Do I have a second for that?
I'd like to make a comment. Can we make a comment before there's a second?
Well, we should wait to see if there's a
Oh,
second
okay.
before there could be any.
Okay. Well, I will second that.
So now
So
discussion.
now you.
Now you can.
Oh, okay.
Deliberate.
I welcome Samantha with open arms. I think you're going to make a wonderful city councilwoman. I think that we ought to really give some consideration for having somebody who's attended some meetings in our town and understands some protocols. I think this is not necessarily fair to Samantha, and I think that's something we ought to consider. Are you feeling comfortable with that, Samantha?
I do feel comfortable. I have been working pretty closely with our city attorney and our city manager, and I'm confident in the staff that we also have that help support us, you know, with all this. And although I have not had the experience in this city, I do have previous experience in my professional and academic settings. So I feel comfortable, but I do understand your concerns as well.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment, if I might, and I appreciate Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams' comments. You know, when I came on board and when Jackie came on board a couple of years ago, I was elected mayor and I had no previous experience. Now, I did have some experience with Susan on city council as well, but or planning commission. I apologize, planning commission, but I think if Samantha is amenable, I think she would make a fine vice mayor.
Thank you.
I think that I am not opposed to Samantha at all being on the council, but I also do not think that it's fair to her or us that she would be put in the position to be the vice mayor.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, should we pass to the motion?
I'll take the vote if the council's ready.
Yeah.
So the following vote is for a motion to nominate Councilmember Rodriguez for vice mayor. Councilmember Judy Chen.
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams.
No?
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford.
No.
Mayor Elwer.
Yes.
Motion passes by a 3-2 vote. Councilmember Stafford and Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams dissenting.
Might I have a quick point of order? Are we maintaining the same seats?
Yeah.
The same row? No, I know, but the three of us are maintaining the same seats.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your cooperation. We are going to move to item 8B. Welcome, Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Accept report of mayor's appointment to city council subcommittees and liaison assignments and confirm mayor's outside agency appointments for the remainder of the year of 2022.
Thank you. This item is also pretty short. After Councilmember Linares resigned from the council, there were various city committees, liaison, and outside agency appointments that were left unattended, vacant. So the city council protocols allow the mayor to nominate a council member to serve in the city committees and as a staff liaison, but it does require the council to vote and confirm her nomination for the outside agency appointments. Mayor Elwer is nominating Vice Mayor Rodriguez to just fill in these vacancies left by Vice Mayor Linares. And staff recommends that council does take a vote on this and approve this recommendation because it will maintain an even distribution of all the appointments that council currently has.
So I'd like to move that we approve the appointment of Samantha Rodriguez to those positions from the mayor.
Do we need to
Do
hear
I have
public
a second?
comment first? or-
Public comment?
Couple comments?
Yeah.
I don't have any comments for this item.
Okay.
So ditto.
I'll second that.
Okay, I was going to say at the appropriate time, I'd second it.
The following motion,
Yes, please.
were you going to comment, Mayor, Madam Mayor? Were you going to comment something, Madam Mayor? Did I
Oh,
interrupt
no,
you? No?
not
Okay.
at all.
The following vote is to accept the report of mayor's appointment to council, subcommittees and liaison assignments, and confirm mayor's outside agency appointments for the remainder of the year of 2022. Councilmember Judy Chen,
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams,
Yes?
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Elward.
Yes,
Motion passes by a 5-0 vote.
thank you. We're gonna move to item 8C.
Consider adoption of a resolution adopting regulations for candidates for elective office pertaining to candidate statements submitted to the voters at an election to be held on November 8, 2022. Sylvia?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I do have a short presentation for this item, which is also going to be fairly quick. Just before we commence, I just wanted to say for the record that previously, Councilmember Stafford and Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams declared their intention to run for City Council at the election of November 2022. If this is still the case, I will ask it that you please state that conflict for the record, and also would like to ask Councilmember Rodriguez if she is intending in running at the election of this year, then she will have to recuse herself from participating in these discussions. Previously, we didn't have a quorum, so we applied the rule of necessity, and Councilmember Stafford was elected to participate in these discussions, so she will remain at the dais to vote on this resolution.
Should there be,
Sure.
should there be less than a quorum?
Less than a quorum.
So I want to state I will have a conflict of interest because I might be running for city council in November.
Thank you.
I have a conflict of interest as I will be running for city council in November.
I do not believe that I currently have a conflict of interest. I have not made a decision of whether or not I will run for council member, and so it would, at this moment, not be a conflict of interest.
Thank you.
Yes.
I thought,
No, no, she doesn't have a
You
conflict.
told me last time, even if you think you might, you had to get out.
No. If you, she.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
that's fine.
no.
Yeah.
I apologize. If you don't know that you're running, you do not have a conflict.
It's okay, it's okay,
Samantha,
we just,
you can,
it's okay, we're just gonna do the protocols, and she can come back.
Uncertainties, I'd rather.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, so do we have?
So we do have to do, so,
Or
You
do
have to
we,
draw again? or
yeah, we
already
have to
drew?
draw again.
again?
Yes.
Yes.
I apologize, I was not ready. to do
It's
that.
okay, it's okay. We all learn. Take your time.
I'll have Mr. City Manager draw the name. Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams.
You're the lucky lotto winner. Come on back.
Just to clarify, I thought once I was not chosen for the first round, that I would not be chosen for all the remaining.
We had to go through, the whole rule of necessity again because we have a new council member.
Yeah, but if she didn't know if she was gonna run, then why doesn't she get to stay?
Well, that was her choice.
Oh, I see, okay.
That was her choice.
I'm sorry, I was confused.
Yeah. That was confusing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So can we proceed?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, this item tonight is a continuation of the discussion that council had on May 24, 2022, in which you directed staff to limit the number of words a candidate can include in their candidate statement, and also to direct the city to pay for the printing of the candidate statement of qualifications in the voter registration guide. Previously, we talked about how much it's gonna cost the city to pay for these statements. We don't have a specific amount because the Sonoma County Register of Voters is still imputing the data from the new districts. But taking a look at this chart, if you have 2 council members running in District 1, 2 in District 2, and 2 in District 5, then your total cost will be approximately $4,552, which is something that staff has already budgeted for. So again, we're asking you to consider adopting the resolution, following council's direction from the last meeting to set a 200 word limit and to pay for the printing of the candidate statements. If you don't want to adopt the resolution, then we ask you to direct us to come back at a different time when it's not an election year, so the complete council can participate in the discussions. That is the end of my staff report.
Okay. Do we have any public comments on this item?
We do not.
Okay, then I'm going to turn to my colleague for recommendation
Direction?
or
Sure.
comment or directions.
At the appropriate time, I'm happy to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-064, adopting regulations for candidates for elective office pertaining to the candidate statements submitted to the voters in an election to be held on November 8th, 2022.
Do I have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Judice,
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams,
Yes,
Councilmember Rodriguez is absent, Councilmember Stafford is absent, Mayor Elward.
Yes.
Motion passes by a 3-0-2. Thank you.
Okay.
What's that? Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Welcome back.
we can't tell.
You can't tell us.
Yeah, we can. It's done. It's posted.
All right, so we're going to move to item 8D.
Consider waiving the first reading and introducing ordinance number 967, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Rohnert Park amending Title II, Administration and Personnel of the Rohnert Park Municipal Code to add Chapter 2.67, electronic filing of campaign disclosure statements and statements of economic interests. Sylvia?
Thank you again, Mr. City Manager. Okay, before we commence, I just wanted to real quick just give a little bit of background just because I like this so much and because I'm personally really invested in this item. The Political Reform Act was adopted in 1964 in California with the intention to regulate campaign financing, conflicts of interest, lobbying, and governmental ethics. The act requires the filing of campaign disclosure statements and a statement of economic interest, also known as the Form 700. The act is regulated by the Fair Political Practices Commission, which all of you know as the FPPC. And the city clerk works hand in hand with the FPPC to ensure that public officials act in a fair and unbiased manner in the governmental decision-making process, and also to promote transparency in government and to foster public trust in the political system. So these are some of the reasons why you're required to file so many statements when you're going through your campaign and when you become an elected official as well. Many local governments have enacted electronic filing. In our county, Cotati, Windsor, San Rosa, and Sonoma, the city of Sonoma have electronic filing. Currently, we accept the filing of campaign statements and the Form 700s in paper format. Once we receive it, we check for accuracy and completion, and then we have to make copies, read that confidential information, put them in a Dropbox, and then make a link, and then put it in the website so people can look at these forms, right? So a lot of work goes into it. And for the Form 700s, it's not just council who has to file this every year. It's a list of employees designated by the Conflict of Interest Code, and also consultants. So, and this is not something that it's done once a year. You know, we take the forms once someone assumes office, once they leave office within 30 days, once a year, and those who are also campaigning have to file those forms with us. So we end up with a lot of paperwork, and I know that some of you have personally come into the city clerk's office to look through those binders. They're like about this big, right? So the Political Reform Act allows you to require the filing of these statements in an electronic format, so long as you meet the following criteria. Number one, the system must ensure the integrity of the data and include safeguards against efforts to tamper with, manipulate, alter, or disrupt the data in any way. The system also needs to be approved by the FPPC and by the Secretary of State. And the system also must be available free of charge to those who are filing and to those who would like to review the filings in the system. So we are proposing that you approve this ordinance to allow us to enter into a contract with Chronicus, which, you know, their system complies with all of those requirements, so we can begin the process of requiring people to file their statements in an electronic format. I just wanted to mention real quick that there are certain documents that we receive that actually need to be filed with the Secretary of State. For example, the candidate intention. So we just get a copy. So you still will need to provide us a copy of that specific statement. But for the campaign statement, the Forms 460 and the 700, they will have to be filed electronically. And some of the benefits of having an electronic filing, again, it's free to filers. There is, speaking to all the clerks in the county, there's an increase in compliance with filing of deadlines because the system is automatically sending you notifications that you have to do this. And I know the council is really familiar with the e-disclosure system that you use to file your forms with the FPPC. So it's the same one that we want to use with the city. And of course, no one can alter or tamper with the data that is imputed into the system. There's an automatic quality control check to make sure that you're not missing any boxes when you complete it. And most importantly, it automatically redacts your confidential information and it will post onto the city's website so people can access to it. And needless to say, they can access to it 24/7. They don't have to make appointments to come into the office to look through binders to find the forms. They can just go to their website and just find the information. And of course, reduce paper waste and reduce staff labor, which I described previously. That is the end of my presentation. And again, we're just asking the council to please consider waiving the first reading of the ordinance and introducing the ordinance 967 so we can require electronic filing of campaign statements and a statement of economic interest forms. There is no requirement that you adopt an ordinance to require the electronic filing of Form 700. However, we would like to include it since we'll go through the process so we can increase compliance with that as well.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment for this item?
No, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to turn to my
I'd
colleague.
like to move that we adopt this ordinance for introduction, ordinance number 967.
Second?
And just before we vote on this item, I just want to say thank you to the clerk because as a candidate and as a council member, you have spent some time with me making sure that I have checked all those boxes. And so I can't imagine you going through that process with any number of people. So I just want to say thank you, et cetera.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The following vote is for the introduction and waiving of the first reading of ordinance 967, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Rohnert Park amending Title II, Administration and Personnel of the Rohnert Park Municipal Code to add Chapter 267, electronic filing of campaign disclosure statements and a statement of economic interest. Councilmember Judice,
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Elward.
Yes,
Motion passes by a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
thank you. Next, we're going to move to item 8A.
Consider adoption of resolutions approving and adopting budgets for City of Rohnert Park and Rohnert Park Foundation for fiscal year 2022-23. We have our Finance Director, Nikhil Bali, here to present this item to the council.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor, new Vice Mayor, members of the council. I'm pleased to present this item, which is for consideration and adoption of fiscal year 22-23 budget for the City of Rohnert Park and the Rohnert Park Foundation. Let's see. So we are at the last leg of this year's budget. And this item, if adopted, would mark the culmination of another fruitful budget cycle, a budget that sets aside or provides funding for a variety of community and council priorities, as well as funding to increase service levels in the various departments. This is also the first budget that the city has adopted in its new financial system while implementing the system, which is a feat in itself for everyone involved. We have already gone through the detailed budget presentations in April, and so this presentation will just highlight changes from the budget hearing session along with a few items that were brought up for clarification. And then the accompanying budget book that's part of the staff report provides the details. So overall, the operational side of the budget is largely the same as what was presented during the study sessions. There aren't any major changes to most enterprise funds, internal service funds, and special revenue funds. There are some changes to the general fund, which is largely driven by the addition of the budget for the downtown project. And then there are also some minor updates that were directed by the council and other adjustments that I'll go over. So this slide just lists the changes in the general fund from what was presented at the study sessions. So the city purchased the downtown property on April 29th, which was after the study sessions on April 18th. And after that, staff put together a preliminary budget for the downtown for the next fiscal year. And I'll go over the funding sources for that in the next slide. Based on our current estimates for developing basic infrastructure in the downtown area, which would include utilities and streets, it looks like this budget would need to be revisited and increased mid-year. So we'll get to that, in the middle of the year. And then second, during the study session, staff had put together placeholder salary and benefit budgets for new positions that were proposed to support council priorities. And if you may recall, some of these positions included the senior analyst for the downtown, community engagement coordinator in public safety, a building inspector, and a deputy city engineering development services, and landscape and maintenance workers. Now, many of these positions and rates were approved in subsequent council meetings, and they have been built into the projected payroll for next year, which feeds into the budget. As a side note, our new financial system is designed to be more accurate because it's building payroll projections and then feeding into the budget, unlike the previous financial system where staff had to calculate every salary step and every benefit. So we're already starting to see some advantages of budgeting in the new financial system. Other updates include a preliminary approved budget for the Health and Human Services Hub, and other updates include budgets for election expense. I think that was increased a little, insurance premiums, and then minor increases to the financial system development budget for the next fiscal year. I want to briefly highlight two changes that were brought up during the study sessions. The first is that the budget for the city's contract with Unsheltered Friends Outreach has been increased from $24,000 to $36,000 per council direction. And then second, there was a question on the number of full-time employees that the city has for economic development. The city has 1.1 full-time employees. This includes a full-time a communication specialist position and a 10% planner position. The budget for the communication specialist position was increased from part-time to full-time for additional public outreach and communication efforts. So this slide shows the funding sources for next year's phase 1 budget for developing the downtown. There are basically 3 different sources. The first one is $5.2 million in residual funds from bond proceeds that are tied to the city's former redevelopment agency. About $2 million of these are unspent appropriations for projects that are related to the redevelopment area. And just as a background, the downtown property falls in the former redevelopment area, which gives us the leeway to use those funds. And then the second source is casino funds, and then the third one is projected surplus from the general fund, both from the end of this year as well as the next one. The city will be receiving the second installment of the American Rescue Plan funds in July of next year, which will be treated as a general revenue loss, which gives us more confidence in having a surplus next year, the year after. So in summary, as you can see on this slide, we have about $8.2 million from non-general fund sources and about $4 million from the general fund for the phase 1 downtown project. So this is how the final general fund budget looks like. The post-study session adjustments add about $0.8 million to the operational side of the budget, and most of this is from transfers in from the Technology Replacement Fund and the Rohnert Park Foundation. So this final proposed general fund budget is about 11% higher than last year's adopted budget and about 7.5% higher than fiscal year 2021 actuals. And the budget is operationally balanced, which means that the operating revenues cover the operating expenses, and then we have this $4 million at the bottom, which is an investment in the downtown project. So this slide shows that the city has put together a budget that responds to council and strategic priorities. The numbers, some of these numbers at the bottom are rough, direct budgetary costs for key items, but we have gone over this in detail during the department presentations, but they're still worth highlighting one more time. The two most significant programmatic highlights are the budget for the development of downtown and then the budget for homelessness and housing. And besides that, there's also budgetary funding for other critical council priorities such as infrastructure maintenance, police community relations, park maintenance, and trash cleanup. So on that uplifting note, I'll conclude this presentation, and thanks to the council's leadership and work of our staff and other departments in bringing this budget together. Happy to take any questions or comments.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment for this item?
I don't know, we don't have any comments for this item.
Okay, then I'm going to turn to my colleague for comments and.
Thank you very much for your work on this. I know your staff spent untold hours. If you can just go back in your slide presentation, just go back to the beginning and go ahead a couple of slides. Wait, back.
Okay.
One more. No, it's where you had the amount of the downtown, the first phase.
This one, this shows the breakout of the 12.2 million at the bottom, and then,
Which is the purchase price, right?
which is the, yeah.
Those- Oh, no, that's.
No,
in
no,
addition to
that's
that,
not,
right?
this is for
Okay, that's
next
right,
year,
all right.
sorry. We have already paid for the downtown.
Okay. That's what I was checking on. I thought I'm clear now.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty close. They
Right.
can be confusing.
Okay, that's what I was looking at. All right, thank you very much. Again, thank you. I know city manager had a lot to do with the influence of this budget. I know city council does as well, but I know your staff just spends a lot of time, and it must be just such a huge relief for you to be through this phase of the process. So thank you very much.
Big relief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Could we go back to the priorities slide, please? So a budget is definitely a statement of your priorities, and in this case, not only the priorities of this council, but I feel strongly the priorities of this community. I want to thank everyone on your staff for their hard work on this. And while spending is increasing, I think it's very much in keeping, I think it's very important that, let me put my glasses on. I think while spending is increasing, it's very much in keeping my eye on responsible spending, and I think that's exactly what this is. I feel strongly the council needs to make sure we maintain a healthy reserve, which we are, in particular considering the possibility of a looming recession. We need to be fiscal hawks, and I believe that we are, and this council member in particular is a fiscal hawk because I think that's what the residents expect, and I think that's what they deserve from this council. So I'm fully in support of all of these priorities and changes to the budget, and I'm prepared to move forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have any issues with the budget. The only question I have is, and I don't disagree or debate the projections that you expect in the higher taxes, sales tax, and the higher TOT tax. How do you come about deciding those numbers will be higher?
Well, so our sales tax projections come from a consultant. We hired a new consultant, HDL. They are a nationally recognized brand in sales tax consulting and projections. So those numbers come from them. And for TOT, we come up with our own projections based on annual data. I think our TOT revenues are still less than what we had before the pandemic. So we are at, I think, at 4.3 million. We were at one point at 4.6 million for TOT revenue. So we are conservatively optimistic, I would say. But then again, we retain the option to revisit our budget during mid-year and make corrections.
And I appreciate that conservative optimism. So thank you. And I have no issues with the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
No issues with the budget, very concise. So I know the staff worked very hard on that and clear to me. So I appreciate it and share the sentiments on being conservative, especially with the current economy status. So thank you again.
Thank you. When we look at the priorities here, I know what I'm looking at, but if somebody comes and say, downtown development, what do you mean by that? What you gonna tell them?
Well, I think it's a complicated answer, and I'll look to our
Maybe
city
I'm-
manager because he might have a
Yes.
more comprehensive response than I can provide at this point, but if he wants me to take it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, we
Good
want
segue.
a pedestrian-oriented development that has independent restaurants and businesses, and that's at a human scale where, it's a place to spend time and enjoy and is not totally automobile-focused. There will be a component of it that includes housing, but the main focus is having retail space and public space that's really missing from Rohnert Park in terms of having those two things together. We have of course, we have retail, and of course, we have our own plaza, but we really don't have locations in Rohnert Park where retail is really integrated with the public space. Now, we put together the budget before we got direction from council on the timing. And so, my initial thoughts was, hey, let's start construction next summer, and so we really looked at, well, what can we afford to do with this budget? And so we're really setting aside the funds, and the actual construction project may be a little further down the road based on our discussion and your direction. But we want to start making room for that right now. And the reason I think Nikhil's characterizing it as phase one is I don't want anyone, to publish, something that says, oh, the downtown's going to cost 12 million. It's not. It's going to cost much more than that. This is just what we can set aside towards it right now. And we'll, be setting aside funds for it in future years. And then we also expect to generate some money from selling some of the property too. So with what we can set aside and what we can raise through property sales, then we think we can fund the infrastructure for the downtown so that we can have a place to live, really.
Thank you. That was just the clarification that I needed. Everything was crystal clear for me, and I am glad that you guys have thought of so many different points. I'm fine with what I'm seeing and the direction we're going, so thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to adopt all three of these separately?
I believe
The
so.
budget, the foundation?
Yes,
think
yes,
we
you
do.
do.
Okay.
We do.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move that we approve the resolution 2022-065, approving and adopting the operating budget for the City of Rohnert Park for fiscal year 2022-23.
I'd second that.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Motion to adopt resolution 2022-065 passes by 5-0 vote.
Okay.
So I'd like to move that we approve the Foundation Board Resolution 2022-001, approving and adopting the City of Rohnert Park Foundation operating budget for fiscal year 2022-23.
Then I'll play second fiddle to that.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
That's a second, aye.
Wait.
Anyone opposed?
No, go ahead, you're on a roll.
Okay, I have a
Okay, motion to pass Foundation Board Resolution 2022-001 passes by 5-0 vote.
All right.
And I'd like to move that we approve Resolution 2022-066, amending the 5-year capital improvement program to add 4 projects and amend CIP appropriations for fiscal year 2021-22 and fiscal year 2022-23.
Then I'll keep that one going too.
All right,
Second.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion to adopt Resolution 2022-066 passes by 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nikhil.
All right, now we're gonna be conducting our public hearing, which is item 8F.
Conduct a public hearing to hear protests to Resolution 2022-053, which declared weeds to be a nuisance and requiring weeds abatement, and adopt resolution ordering the abatement of weed nuisances existing within the city of Rohnert Park. And we have our Fire Marshal Jim Thompson going to make a staff presentation on this.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Hey.
Okay, what I'm bringing before you for your consideration tonight is something I do each and every year. As we did about 4 weeks ago, I asked you to declare weeds and unmanaged vegetation a public nuisance and empower my staff to abate them if necessary. Subject to that, letters went out from the city clerk to most property owners on the list, and I'm pleased to report that many, if not most of them, have already abated the vegetation and weeds. Probably see a lot of nicely mowed fields around town and a few that are not. What we're doing tonight is allowing the public to make public comment on that. If they have a protest or a concern, we want to hear it now before we move forward. Pretty straightforward. I don't have a PowerPoint for you, so I think this will be short and sweet.
Thank you.
That's fine.
You can show us weeds.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna conduct and open the public hearing. I have one card here, and Mr. Steve Keith.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Congratulations to the new council member. Good evening to the rest of the council members and staff. I appreciate this opportunity. You want me to mention it, or?
Please do.
Okay, I will. Okay, so I've commented on this before, and I decided to go a different direction. Regarding the language of the code versus the idea of the code itself. As I think we all know, I tend to be tend towards the wild and free, so I like to let them grow and watch them bloom. But I do understand the need for abatement, certainly with the recent fires. I did want to bring to the attention of the council and the city attorney some of the things that I noticed when I was looking into making my comments regarding this code. Back on the 24th, when this was presented to the council to have it presented as a public hearing, they referenced the government code 39560 all the way through 39588. In today's packet that you'll be voting on today, in the resolution, it says, it gets to the whereas and so forth. It says government code and then semicolon and it's blank. There's no government code there. And I wonder if that might cause a problem in the vote. Also on the agenda, it does mention the resolution 2022, and I believe it is, where am I at? -053, but in your packet that you'll be voting on, it shows that it's 2022-067. I don't know if that has any problems. Two other things, a couple other things. In the original the packet to the council, it refers to, oh man, all right, I'm going to leave that part out. There's some old language that I think a bit misogynistic in the old code that I'm sure they're working on, but one thing I had a little bit of a problem with, I'm going to lose time here, but I really hate that the language of accountability was changed from the government code to this resolution. They changed simply one word, or, to of. Or meaning, hey, it could be this type of property, it could be that kind of property. And in the resolution, they changed it to of private property, which it just releases all accountability of any other lands, or the city or county into having the kinds of pressure that's placed upon the residents to abate the issue. And if anybody walks down anybody walks down the creeks You can see, all right. Once I go over, once.
Thank you so much. We're gonna move to the second comment is from Mr. Don Shin.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here. And my concern is that I'm representing the Rohnert Park Church. So there's a Bible Belt, one is Baptist and Adventist Church, which I belong to, and Church of Assembly. And we have received this letter continuously, 2 times actually. And I thought we removed all the weeds, but still we got the letter, so I'm just concerned. Is it indicating that, we are just maintaining okay and all the weeds are out, but still receiving the letter? That concerns me. But my next door neighbor, still the weeds are high. So as fire department, they can see the whole property, or does just individual the property you're concerned about? Are we okay to live in this way, or if you need us to do more, and just let us know and we can take care of it?
Madam Attorney,
Yes.
he was asking a question, but should we just continue moving?
Yeah, we're not here to respond to questions, and I actually don't have the code in front of me, so I wouldn't be able to analyze that
Okay.
tonight.
May I add a point?
Thank you, Mr. Chin.
May I add to that? Inspections begin tomorrow, so we'll be out looking at the properties and making determinations after we move forward tonight.
Okay. Okay.
After you close the hearing, I would offer, if the council, if you want, to answer some of Keith's questions.
Yeah. I think. Okay. But then I'm going to be closing the public hearing, and I'm going to turn to my colleague for question or comment or direction.
I don't have any comments or questions.
I don't have any comments or questions either.
The only question I have is, was any of the numbers that Steve presented relevant to it? Do they need to be changed in any way, or were they everything?
I would ask for direction from both the city attorney and the clerk on that. It's kind of outside of my realm to answer that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Do we need to modify?
I'm prepared to answer that if you want,
Oh,
Mayor.
please do.
Yes. Please.
So Mr. Keith raised that he referred to Resolution 53 and then 67. So 53 was the resolution that's already passed, and it declared weeds to be a nuisance. And then the hearing tonight is if anybody wants to protest the fact that you declared weeds to be a nuisance. And then 67 would be ordering the abatement of weeds. So that's the resolution that you're actually passing tonight. And then within that resolution, he commented that on the third whereas, the end of that clause, it says, basically, the clerk mailed a notice to the owners of such properties in accordance with section of our municipal code, or the Rohnert Park, and then requirements in the government code. We don't have to list out what section of the government code. It's inclusive. We met the requirements in the government code. So there's no need to change that whereas in the resolution as far as I can see.
Okay.
All right. Vice Mayor.
No comments.
Okay. All right. Then we will go and get a motion.
I move that we approve the resolution for adoption, Resolution 2022-067, ordering the abatement of weed nuisances existing within the city of Rohnert Park.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes by a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to item 8G.
Consider introducing by title only and waive reading of ordinance number 968, an ordinance repealing and replacing chapter 15.34, electric vehicle charging stations, review and installation requirements of the Rohnert Park Municipal Code to update streamlined permitting and require electric vehicle infrastructure training on city projects. And our Director of Development Services, Mary Grace Pawson, is here to present this item tonight.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Mr. City Manager, Mayor Elward, members of the council. This item comes out of discussion and direction that you gave us in March, and it really updates a section of our code that pertains to electric vehicle charging stations. Two purposes of the update. While we're in there, we're making some modest revisions to the streamlined permitting program that applies to all electric vehicle charging stations to reflect our current practices. And we will be adding the training program requirements for city-funded charging stations. So just quickly, what is EVITP? It is a training program developed by a coalition of industry stakeholders. It ensures electricians have successfully completed additional training specific to EV charging stations before they work on a project. It's about 24 hours of training. And because we're imposing this requirement on our projects, we check. There are 8 certified contractors in the county, so this is not going to cause us to be unable to secure bids for city-funded EV charging stations if we choose to adopt it. Again, 2 parts to the ordinance. The review process for electric vehicle charging stations was originally adopted in 2017. It complies with state law, and it's intended to make sure that we can move these things through the process pretty quickly. So our proposed updates include requirements that application materials be posted on the city's website. They are, and they've been updated. We need to provide options for electronic submittal, including acceptance of electric signatures. We got really good at this during COVID. We have updated and made available a completeness checklist based on state guidance so that the first submittal can be a complete submittal and easily approved. Permit reviews limited to compliance with state, local, and federal safety requirements. What this means is for privately funded EV charging stations, we can't add any additional requirements above and beyond existing law. And most importantly, we're clarifying an appeal process if the building official makes a determination that a particular charging station could cause a risk. Right now, our ordinance bounces that application directly to the planning division, who would evaluate it, issue an administrative permit with an appeal to the planning commission. We're actually missing a procedural step. An appeal of the building official's determination should go to the Building Standards Board first, and the ordinance will clarify that so that we have correctly outlined the appeal process. And that's the most significant change we're making to the existing language. The new language, modeled largely on the City of Petaluma's program, includes provisions for city-funded EV charging stations. Again, state law says we can't impose these on privately funded projects, but we can choose to do that on our own projects. Requirements include at least 1 job site supervisor or foreman will hold the certificate. At least 50% of the electricians performing the work will hold the certificate. The certificate is not required for apprentices, but apprentices shall be registered with a program in compliance with the California Department of Industrial Regulations and approved by the Division of Apprenticeship. Again, we took a lot from the adopted program in Petaluma. Our city attorney's office gave us some help making sure that the language comported with current state contracting law. And the next steps would be to introduce the ordinance tonight. You could adopt it on the consent calendar on June 28th, and the ordinance would become effective 30 days later. As we discussed in March, the city currently doesn't have any plans to fund electric vehicle charging stations, but this would put the framework in place should we choose to do that in the future. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. We have Lee Higley.
Thank you, council members. My name is Natalie Higley. I represent the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 551. We wanted to first thank the council for taking the time to educate themselves on this and for the work that staff has put in as well. This is a huge step towards keeping workers safe on the job site, and we really appreciate this. We do strongly support the adoption of this ordinance, and we believe that proper training is the most important step for worker safety. EVITP is an internationally recognized training program with support and direct input from major automobile manufacturers and utility companies. As the world of green energy technology continues to evolve, it is important that our training evolves along with it, and we thank you for taking the first step towards that tonight.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to my colleague for comments.
Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you very much for your work on this as well. I'm fully in support of it.
Do we want to make a motion?
I would be happy to.
No, I'm going to do it. I move that we adopt the ordinance for introduction, ordinance number 968, an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 15.34, electric vehicle charging stations, review and installation requirements of the Rohnert Park Municipal Code training on city projects.
And I guess I'll second that as well.
Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry, Councilmember Judichek?
Yes.
We,
Councilmember
Oops, sorry.
Adams?
well, we needed to let the Vice Mayor, I don't know if she had,
Oh,
yes,
no, I am sorry.
It's
okay.
Apologize.
No comments. It was well put together. Thank you.
Okay, now we can proceed.
Councilmember Judichek?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollingsworth Adams?
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Elward?
Yes.
Motion passes by a 5-0 vote.
All right, we're gonna move to item 8H.
Consider adopting a resolution establishing parking restrictions on Labatt Avenue from Heimbach Creek to Carlson Avenue, on Carlson Avenue from Dowdell Avenue to Labatt Avenue, and on the northerly frontage of assessor parcel number 143-040-0140 to support the Home Key project. And Mary Grace is going to present this item as well.
Thank you. And as the city manager indicated, this is an action we're bringing for you tonight in preparation for opening the Labatt Landing project later this year. I want to clarify that what we're asking you to adopt this evening are parking restrictions that we're going to administer with a tailored permit program. We are not asking you to adopt a residential permit program like we have in M section, where residents would pay for a permit on an annual basis. So we're using a different provision of the code that allows you to impose restrictions. And what we're proposing to do is restrict parking to residents and guests of the adjacent businesses between midnight and 7 a.m. And what we're really trying to do is make sure unauthorized people are not in the neighborhood overnight. It's to support the safe operation of the Labatt Landing project. We're bringing in some fairly vulnerable people. We're putting them under a pretty strong operating plan, and we want to support that operating plan with good operations of the street parking in the neighborhood. We also found out as we did our outreach that this may assist in managing parking in a developing mixed-use neighborhood. I think most of you are aware that until about 6 years ago, this neighborhood was a demolished baseball stadium. It now is home to over 425 residential units. That's probably 900 people. It has over 200 hotel rooms, and we anticipate by the end of next year we'll have another 200 residential units in the neighborhood. All of those projects were approved with adequate parking. Most people have more cars than there are parking spaces. The street parking's used, and the neighbors have indicated that it could be better managed. People are parking in the vision triangle at the corners. And they do have some experience with crimes of opportunity, smash and grab, particularly at night. And again, an enforcement program with some regular police presence would be appreciated. So just to outline the area we're going to affect, you can see Highway 101 running up the right side of the slide. Rohnert Park Expressway is to the south. Heimbach Creek is the green line going through the middle of the slide. Labatt Avenue between the creek and Rohnert Park Expressway is currently posted no parking, so we're not worried about that area. Martin Avenue between Ashley Furniture and Costco is currently posted no parking, as is Dowdell Avenue. So the parking restrictions would apply to Labatt Avenue between the creek and Carlson. That would be new, and that would be posted no parking without a permit between midnight and 7. The private frontage of Martin Avenue along our fire station, that piece of Martin Avenue between Cambria and the fire station is technically part of our assessor parcel, Cambria's assessor parcel, and Adega's assessor parcel. It has a public access easement over it, but it's not public right-of-way. So we'll post that as city-owned property. And then Carlson Avenue from Labatt to Dowdell would again be posted with parking restrictions. We have been doing a lot of outreach in the neighborhood. We have a standing weekly meeting with the Labatt Landing neighbors, and this program is coming forward basically at their request. When we reached out to the additional businesses and residents in the area, again, we got generally supportive. We think this will be helpful to the neighborhood. Just work with us to tailor it so it works for our residents. So the next steps would be, if you chose to adopt the resolution tonight, the city traffic engineer, who's technically Public Works Director Garrett, or her designee, who will probably be me, will work with the adjoining owners to design the permitting system. And, we're envisioning a durable rear view mirror mounted tag. They'd probably be color coded so we knew which business or apartment was handing them out. They'd probably have the unit number on them. Otherwise, we expect the program to be administered by the property managers. We'll give you a set of permit tags. It's your job to get them to your residents and manage it if they happen to lose them. We would post the required signs once we had the placards in the hand of the residents, and we'd begin enforcement. We've spoken with public safety. They think this is an enforcement protocol that they could manage in a pretty straightforward way. And we would like to begin it before we open Labatt Landing, because we'd like to have a baseline understanding of any issues that were in the neighborhood before the project opened, and we'd like to have an opportunity to get on top of that before the project opens. So that concludes my presentation this evening, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Yes.
I know this is unusual, but something did occur to me today that I just want to bring up, and maybe Mary Grace can respond to it. But I was thinking about all those industrial businesses in that area, and I was thinking 7 o'clock in the morning. We might want to make it a little bit earlier because they might be rolling in at 6 over there for some of those manufacturing. So I don't know what you think about that, Mary Grace.
Yeah, we did speak with them. We didn't hear any immediate objections.
With the current tenants, right? Yeah.
With the current tenants, we didn't hear any immediate objections. I also don't think giving ourselves a little more flexibility and changing it to 6 a.m. would in any way compromise what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. I think midnight to 6, you'd still accomplish people not parking overnight, but then you wouldn't run into, do I need a permit for my workers? I don't know.
Yeah. And again, we would make permits available to them if they asked. The business owners would be able to secure.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that was our thought. If they really had a need, we'd give them some tags.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Okay. Then I will move to my colleague for comment.
So I'm okay with changing the time to 6 o'clock. I think it's very important that we provide this sort of a get ahead of it parking program before people come to Labatt Landing, which, by the way, I think that's a beautiful name for that spot, and whoever came up with that name, you shouldn't point in public. Did a great job. Very nice. The apartment building that is there, I can't remember the name of it, but it's on the corner of Expressway and Labatt. What's it called?
I think it's the Adega.
Is it the
Expressway in Labatt is Bell Properties.
Okay. So technically they have enough parking spaces for that complex, but would they be able to give tickets or permits to their folks in order to park along that spot there? Or are you just talking about people that have the businesses over in Labatt and the apartments that are over on the other side?
We're talking about the businesses that are over on the other side. We did reach out to Bell Properties. They do currently have, parking restrictions in front of their property. Again, I think they appreciated the proactiveness of the city, but we didn't hear an expressed request for additional parking permits from that complex. And that's a large complex.
And then the other thing is, I guess I'm just concerned about the people who are visiting the Cambria Hotel for the night. If they find themselves over there not realizing they can't park there, it's going to be pretty clear.
Cambria will have permits.
Oh, they will? Okay. So
Yeah, Cambria will be able to give their guests permits, as will Fairfield.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm fully in support of this, and I really appreciate the deep dive the city has done to reach out to the local residents and the local businesses, and I know that this came out of that. I was very pleased to see a lot of the local businesses like the Cambria, et cetera, represented at the Project Home Key groundbreaking. I think this is a really important component to it, making sure that that the residents and the businesses' concerns are heard, and that we have a system in place in advance of opening Labatt. So I'm fully in support.
When I first started reading the agenda item, I thought, there's not going to be any parking there? How is that going to work? Until I realized it was just the overnight part of it. So I have no issues. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good way to eliminate a lot of problems. So
We're hoping so too.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'm happy with it. I appreciate the acknowledgement of also kind of the sensitivity with Labatt Landing and those that will be there. And this, I believe, will help keep them safe, or at least feel safe as well. So I have no issue with it.
Yeah, I have to agree that being proactive is the best way to go, and I'm glad that you guys are doing it before the project is done, so that you prevent any flaws that will come with that, and I'm really grateful. So I'm really in support of this project as well. So I'm gonna ask to my fellow council member if we have, do we have to vote on this? Yes.
Yes.
If we have a motion on the floor.
Shall I?
Go for it.
I'm happy to make a motion adopting resolution establishing parking restrictions on Labatt Avenue from Heimbach Creek to Carlson Avenue, on Carlson Avenue from Dowdell Avenue to Labatt Avenue, and on the northerly frontage of APN 143-040-140 to support the Home Key project.
Second that.
Are there going to be any amendments to the resolution on parking? Because-
Including changing the parking to 6 a.m.
Including changing the
hours.
resolve clause to say between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. daily in the following location.
So amended.
I'll second that.
All right. Madam Clerk? She's writing.
Do I need to repeat the motion? Or
No.
No.
Just state it for the
No,
record?
I
Okay.
just-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes by 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we're gonna move to item 9, committee liaison and other reports. We're gonna start with the Senior Citizen Advisory Commission. I wasn't able to go, so that my alternate wasn't also available that day.
No, I went.
Oh, you went?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
I did go.
Oh, no,
My
okay.
brain already went to the second item. I'm sorry, Pam. Go ahead.
Okay, it was actually a pretty good meeting. Some of their discussions involved people attending the meetings. They meet only 4 times a year, so they thought it was pretty important that people actually show up. So they had some discussion about that. We're talking about trying to form a bocce league. They talked about seniors, the commissioners gathering feedback from other seniors in a more organized way, which is not a bad idea. We were told about how they had a senior prom with a live band, and there was a great turnout. They have a group called the Red Hot Chili Steppers that is a walking group.
I'm sorry.
They did an event for Mother's Day, and they're going to have an event for Father's Day, and that the JC will be back August 15th, finally doing classes back at the senior center.
Oh, really?
So that's a good thing.
Nice, thank you so much. And the next one is the Sonoma Clean Power. That's the one that I didn't attend, and the alternate also wasn't able to attend. So I got it confused, sorry. Again, Councilmember Stafford. So we're gonna move to our third item, which is the Santa Rosa Plant Groundwater Sustainability Agency.
So can I say something?
Yes.
I was not able to attend, so the mayor attended.
Yes, I gladly attended on behalf of Councilmember Stafford. So it was exciting because we were able to vote on a few items, but first of all, we had a report on rate and fees update process overview, and that was presented by the consultant. And it was quite interesting because we could see where the rate resolution estates will go to $40 per acre foot per year. And the window for that, because for that resolution to take place is open, the window is open until June 24th. I believe that's what it was said. And when they were showing, Rohnert Park is well off, I would say, based on the rate and how things were presented. And so on June 9th, that was the first reading of the resolution. And 20 days later, on June 24th, will be the notice of public hearing. And on July 14th of this year, they will be conducting public meeting, and they will also conduct the second reading of that resolution. So if you have some time, I will repeat the dates. It will be on the 24th, they have a public meeting, notice of public meeting, and on the July 14th, they will be conducting public meetings and the second reading. And then we voted on the process of Ordinance 1902 to be revised as Ordinance 2201. But then at the end of the meeting, we had election of officers. The new chair is Susan Harvey, and the vice chair is our very own Pam Stafford. And we also had, we honored also Jay Jasper the same day for its dedication and work he has done throughout the years. And we had a resolution on his name that day. It was sad, but happy at the same time that he get to retire.
He's happy.
He's happy, yeah. And the next is Sonoma County Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Mayor. We met remotely yesterday under the Regional Climate Protection Authority. Adams, we received an information report from the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, BayREN, comprised of the 9 ABAG County members. They went over the history of the organization, providing over $55 million in funding for projects and creating over 1,000 clean energy jobs. Moving forward, we discussed their new strategic plan for 2024 to 2031. The focus will be providing, as they have in the past, funding for single-family, multifamily, commercial, water efficiency programs, financing and codes, and standards services. All of this, of course, being ultimately funded by the California Public Utilities Commission. The new strategic plan, however, will focus 65% of its efforts supporting equity programs by assisting jurisdictions to respond quickly to evolving regional policy trends centered on building electrification and climate resilience. And I just make note of that, noting that we're going to be hiring a sustainability officer that will be reporting to Public Works. Second, we approved the California Air Resources Draft Scoping Plan, CARB, an interesting acronym. The board endorsed the report, but changed some of the report to align more closely with RCPA's goal of net carbon neutrality by 2030. More to come on this topic with specifics once the revision comes back to the board for final approval in July. On the SCTA side of things, we approved Measure M, Strategic Implementation Plan, which of course is winding down, and started the discussion on the segue to Go Sonoma, as the voters in Sonoma County have approved the quarter-cent sales tax to go through 2045. We received the biannual report out of the federal project delivery history, no big changes there. On the joint SCTA, RCPA items, we approved our equity statement. Much of the preamble, of course, was taken directly from our new element of social, racial, and environmental justice, so kudos to staff and the council for adopting that, and now it has gone on and will be memorialized in SCTA as well. On the legislative front, we added two bills to support, SB 379 and SB 922, both by Senator Rohnert. SB 379 is a solar access bill that will expedite solar programs by providing an online permitting process. SB 922 will expedite bike, pedestrian, light rail, and bus rapid transit projects, exempting these environmentally sustainable projects from CEQA. SB 922 will accelerate the approval of sustainable, climate-friendly, and transportation projects. And that is my report.
Thank you. And we have you for the Chamber of Commerce, non-time mention.
Well, I don't know how that got snuck in there, but but I attended the luncheon and it was lovely. And we had a very interesting presentation from a gentleman talking about a new fire resilience technology that he's developed, and it was quite interesting. And basically, it's a product that you can spray on just about anything, and it will not catch fire. And I'm talking about on fences, on roofs, on clothing. And we didn't have a demonstration of this project, but he's got several patents pending, and he has done a lot of research on this, and it was a very interesting program. Lisa, do you have anything to add to that? Of course. So that was it.
Thank you. And for the Mayor and Council Member Association Board of Director and General Membership, it wasn't a long meeting, but what I can report is that Mr. Holmes did a presentation about Safe Parking Pilot Program, and this is the Catholic of the Diocese of Santa Rosa. We also had the Mayor of Sebastopol that gave us an update on the Safe Parking Program as well. Peter Luma came in with the housing manager, Mr. Karen, gave us updates on the homeless initiative. So that was all I can report for the mayor and council member. We have communication. Do we have anything on communication?
Just briefly, Mayor, if I might. Last Friday, the Rotary Club of Rohnert Park Katati played host to the Community Services Awards Dinner. I wanted to say kudos to Chief Tim Mattos to help me organize this. We not only paid tribute to California Highway Patrolman of the Year, but Sheriff of the Year, Rohnert Park Public Safety Officer of the Year, Katati Public Safety Officer of the Year, Rancho Adobe Fire Person of the Year, SSU Public Safety Person of the Year, Educator of the Year from Sonoma State University, Educator of the Year from the Katati Rohnert Park Unified School District, and of course our two awards locally. One for Volunteer of the Year went to Darlene Phillips from NOAA, and the Business of the Year went to the owners of grocery outlets. So kudos to all the winners, and thank you for all those who attended. And we were back finally after 3 years. It was nice to get back and to salute these people who use their vocations as an opportunity to serve in the community.
Thank you. Matter for council, do we have any item?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So we have a public comment from Mr. Steve Keith. Yeah, Steve Keith.
Thought I was number 2, but that's fine. Real quick, thank you to the city manager for making that clarification. I've been to several of these meetings, and it seems like everyone I come to, I learn something new. So thanks for that. Just something that stood out for me. Along the same lines with the weed ordinance, what that typically brings up in me is it's like when, well, here's that weed ordinance again, and so I start to look. And of course, I walk on the creek paths quite a bit. And then that often brings up the conversation that I'm sure a lot of people aren't aware of, how many agencies are involved with the creeks, from the creek trail, down the berm, and then the creek bed itself. There's 3 different agencies. And The city does a fairly good job, clipping their level spot, but then you got the berm, and then you have the creek bed. And those areas, I think, our county and that agency don't manage it very well. They're not good stewards of that land. They allow ecosystems to generate over years and then come in and just wreak havoc and destroy untold wildlife nesting and feeding areas. I mean, there's all kinds of wildlife, birds, amphibians, there's the mammals and so forth. And that just breaks my heart how that's managed. They may at some point have to make some kind of a decision about how they change those, because it's obviously it's flood control, and they got to clear it out. But I don't think that that's in line with what this council has stated as a priority of how those creeks are managed. And I don't know what the city council can do, what power they have over those other agencies. But I feel that that's really something we need to address because it definitely affects the entire town. Thank you.
Thank you. And you were right that finally found the card. Mr. Gary Kaufman was before you.
That's all right.
I apologize about that.
Steve's got important stuff to say.
A red hot chili stepper.
I know.
Pardon me?
I said a red hot chili stepper.
That's not what I call it. But I do go every Friday. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City Manager, staff. At the last council meeting, I stood up here and asked, as a citizen of 40 years of Rohnert Park, if you would reach out to me about my concerns with different things I see through my neighborhood and the city. I want to thank you for I want to thank you for not reaching out to me. I had absolutely no contact from anybody. About my concerns. Every citizen that I talk to about the city, the citizens say they don't care. I'm at the senior center every day, and there is nobody that I talk to that really has one nice thing to say about this city. And it's really a shame. They don't see anything being done about the dirty streets, junk cars on trailers parked on the streets. Example, Burton. Everybody knows about Burton. And I'm not talking about homelessness. Parking, why are the parking laws not being enforced? Isn't it against the law not to enforce the laws or an ordinance? It is past time to bring back common sense. Why do we have to put laws and ordinances if we don't enforce them? Where does that leave us, the citizens? Who follows the laws? Citizens like me. If it says no parking, I don't park. If it says move for the street sweeper, I move for the street sweeper. If it says don't stand on 1 foot, I don't do it. I'm a good citizen. So thanks for doing your job. And all this is going to Lebeth. How about the other neighborhoods? Thank you.
Thank you. And on that note, the meeting is adjourned.
It's a good milestone.
Yes.
It's nice seeing you.
This is your all.
He's got a job in Denver.
One down.
I'm still looking.
I promised I would.